This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Mark. And this is another first for the podcast. Welcome the band Nyte Skye to the show. The band is made up of Nyles and Skye Lannon, father and son duo, who've just released their first album on Sonic Ritual. You may recognize Nyles from the band Film School or from his solo work. We start off talking about Nyles' early days playing in college bands before taking several years off working in tech for CD Now before they were bought out by Amazon. And that was when he really started taking music seriously. He joined Film School, and after years of touring, the band was signed by Beggar's Banquet. At the same time, Nyles was working on some solo projects. But he stepped away from all of it and stayed away for 10 years. He began composing commercial music and started a family. Enter Skye Lannon. Skye's natural aptitude for music was apparent early on. And Nyles and Skye began Nyte Skye as a way to flesh out some of the music they had been working on for a long time. They've released their debut album called Vanishing, and it sounds great. Nyles and Skye talk about how their writing has changed, straddling the line between producer and dad, and challenges touring when your drummer has too much homework. Follow them on Instagram at Nyte_Skye_band, NYTESKYE. Pick up the album on Bandcamp, Fat Beats, or wherever you get music. Follow us at Performance ANX on Twitter and Instagram, and support us with coffee at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety or by buying some merch at performanceanx.threadless.com. Now prepare to be amazed by the father and son duo of Nyte Skye on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Hey, this is Nyles
and Skye,
and we are of the band Nyte Skye. Welcome to the Performance Anxiety Podcast, and we're so happy to be here. We have a new album that we just released on January 10th on the Sonic Ritual record label. Enjoy. Okay. Okay. Hey, buddy, want to grab a chair?
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Just trying to figure out how to be louder here. Internal speakers, maybe. You. Okay, here we go.
All right. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, there we go.
Excellent.
Good, buddy.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey, Skye, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right. Well, I think this is a first for the podcast. I've released over 300 episodes, and I think this is the first one that's father and son.
Oh, nice. 300 episodes, really?
Yeah. I think I'm at about 305 now, but I've got probably 7 or 8 recorded still that I haven't released. So.
Wow. So you've been doing this a while, huh?
This one, yeah, about I'd say 4 years, 4.5 years, and then I did 2 prior to this. Each of those had about 100 episodes, and those were more sports based. But
okay,
this was the one that stuck, I guess. Although 100 episodes isn't bad, but
that's cool.
But so what I like to do is to kind of find out how you guys got to where you are. All right, let me make sure my notes up. There we go. Mike, the laptop I record on is pretty old, and every once in a while it'll freak out on me, but it's been nice today. So
yeah, I hear you. Yeah, you're looking at the camera of a 2014 iMac. So I hear you. I'm keeping this old beast alive as long as I can. But man, it's like every day is something new at this point.
Oh yeah, that's about the same as this laptop. Mine's what is it? It's a Dell, but it's about the same age, I think. So it's every once in a while, it's the old touch screen. So every once in a while, it'll do this thing where the screen will freak out and these little circles will pop up and start to get bigger and bigger, and they'll start clicking off of my tabs and shutting things down randomly. And, it's happened once or twice in the middle of a podcast, which
wow,
little disconcerting.
Yeah.
So, but what I like to do is kind of find out how you guys got to where you are. And obviously, I think we'll probably have to start with Nyles on this one. So
Sure.
I want to learn a little bit about how music became such a big part of your life. Was it something that you grew up with? Did you have it in the family? Were parents musically inclined, or was it something that you struck out on your own?
They were musically inclined just insofar as they had a lot of records lying around, not really musicians per se, but I was just, surrounded by music all the time growing up. And I don't know, growing up in this area too, I grew up really close to San Francisco, just over the bridge. And I just feel like that also contributed to it as well. There was just a lot of musicians around and music around, and it was just kind of in the hills, just on the folklore of the area or whatever. I just kind of just loved it, and in high school, I was already going to a lot of Grateful Dead shows and just kind of immersed in that whole thing. And I love a lot of different kinds of music. I'm definitely not like a, granola type or anything, but I just love it all. So I was around, a lot of music, and started playing guitar pretty seriously, I guess, around that same age in high school, or a little bit before high school, but really focused on it more in high school. And that's when it kind of all started for me, I guess, as a musician. But when I went to college, I was also in a college band that had a little bit of success. We recorded with Steve Albini out in Chicago. So we kind of got into that whole emo kind of, hard rock, or I don't know, kind of a abrasive, angular rock music that was big in Chicago at the time. And
was that the Splendor Bin?
Splendor Bin, yeah. So, and we had a good thing in college. I mean, being a band in college was so much fun. There was just a absolutely, I don't know, just amazing scene at the time. And I was in Philadelphia, and it was just great. I mean, it was just playing really packed show. I mean, we were a terrible band, absolutely terrible. But we had our little thing that we did, I think, well, and we had a lot of friends, and so these shows were just a ton of fun. And there was a fraternity on campus that would have these just wild band parties, and there was one in particular every year called the Human Barbecue.
Nice.
And 3 days of music around the clock.
Whoa.
All night for 3 days straight.
Oh my God.
It was it was just mayhem, but it was super. I mean, I don't know. There were touring bands that would come through, there were great bands in West Philly that would play this, just a lot of great Philly bands like Zen Gorilla and Photon Band, and the Lilies, like that. There was a whole scene in there that was kind of overlapping with what was going on at the university and stuff. And I don't know. So I was kind of in that whole world, and I think experienced that rock kind of underground energy.
Well, that's a great place to really get into it. I mean, I grew up in central New Jersey, so I was an hour from Philly and an hour from New York. So I kind of a little bit familiar with the Philly scene, mid 90s, in that area. And so it's bands from New Brunswick going down and playing, it's just a really cool area to be exposed to music. Yeah. Was college around the time when you really started thinking about making music your life?
Not really. I really I still considered it almost like just a side, just a thing that I had fun doing, really.
Okay.
I never really thought of pursuing it. And the band actually, shortly after graduation, the band broke up. I got a job at a tech company and kind of went off into that world for a few years, and really kind of stopped playing for a number of years. And then I had a band and stuff, but it just wasn't very active at all. This band called Reizoko, that was just a little kind of a space rock kind of. I don't want to say I wasn't active, because I was also in this other experimental band called the Azusa Plane.
Okay.
And that was a whole nother beast. It was kind of this entity where we literally would just pick a key for the song to be in, and without practicing at all, we would just get on stage and start playing.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. And so this guy that main kind of creative force behind the band, this guy, Jason D'Amelio, he would just kind of like have these kind of grand plans. It's like kind of, I don't know, kind of intellectual mostly, just like these kind of like, I don't know how to put it, because it wasn't really music. It wasn't like a musical plan. It was more like this is the vibe we're going for. This is the energy we want to have.
Okay.
And it's the key of the song. and so it was really fun though, and it was great for confidence, because we would get up there with literally, I mean, of course, playing, you kind of, after a while, you kind of get into like, okay, I know where this is going. This is kind of where we're going to go.
Yeah.
But there's something about that stage energy that is so incredible. You get up there and there's people watching, and you come up with these pretty amazing improv jam sessions, and you just have to go for it,
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Before you skip over this ad, give me 1 minute. Like most podcasts, I pick sponsors carefully, and I use the products that advertise here. Pure Spectrum CBD is a product that has been really beneficial for me. They have a wide variety of great products that can be used on a daily or as needed basis. I've been using the tincture every day, and it's been wonderful for easing anxiety. And I absolutely love the isolate. I use it instead of acetaminophen or ibuprofen, and it's worked so well for the relief of aches and pains. They also have soaks, lotions, salves, gummies, and more, plus an entire line for fitness recovery. They even have products for your pets. See everything they offer at purespectrumcbd.com. And if you have questions, they're there to help. They helped me when I had no idea where to start. After you fill your cart, use code PERFORMANCEANX for 15% off your purchase. Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD.
Yeah, so that happened in there too. But honestly, like I was still like in the kind of job world, and I wasn't really totally dedicated to music. It was still just a kind of fun thing. And I was working at this tech company, which was related to music. It was this place called CD Now. It was an online music retailer.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was very early on. I mean, they were pretty early in the e-commerce scene. They had launched a store, I think, in 94.
Wow.
Or 95, like right before I started working there in 96. So, or late 95, I can't remember. But, they had just launched this e-commerce solution or whatever for stores in general.
Yeah.
But I guess the music that they were selling CDs, and it was successful. So I guess it kind of focused in on that after a while and became this pretty successful online music store, enough that, they went public and they had commercials on TV and all this stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so I worked there for a number of years and developed their affiliate program, which also was like Amazon just beat us to the punch on that one. Like we were always just a tiny bit behind Amazon. So, e-commerce, we're just a little bit behind Amazon. The affiliate program, which became such a big deal, like again, like right behind Amazon. So like they would get all the press for this stuff, but we were like right there. And so I got pretty swept up in that whole world for a few years. The affiliate program, I was kind of running that, and it had like 150,000, 160,000 websites on this affiliate program. And I'm managing this whole thing. So before you know it, I'm like a manager of this whole team. I've got like all these people reporting to me, and I was in way over my head, just totally not prepared for it at all. Wow. Not very good at it. I think I was okay as a manager, but I just wasn't very good at like climbing the corporate ladder. I just didn't feel like I felt like a fish out of water. So anyway, I ended up quitting and moving back out here to San Francisco. Yeah. And so that's kind of when, and it just so happens, this little side note here, right around that same time, the company got kind of, I guess technically they were bought by Amazon, but really Amazon just came in and cleaned house and just bought or just kind of, absorbed all these companies at the time.
Right.
And we had merged with these other music stores, and Amazon just came through and got us all.
Wow.
So, but long story, I ended up with some Amazon stock.
Oh.
which unfortunately I sold as soon as I moved out here so I could have about 6 months off. But I often think about that the number of houses I could have bought that stock had I kept on.
Oh, yeah.
So,
but, that stuff is so hard to predict. So, I mean, you did pretty well with it, though.
At the time, it was nice to have, 6 months of freedom. And that was kind of like, so anyway, I don't want to go, like basically I got another tech job when I was out here, but it was part-time and it was fantastic because I was getting, I got to dip my toe into a little bit of that like era when, San Francisco really had a great tech scene insofar as that you could get these part-time jobs that were, it was kind of the beginning of the whole gig thing. So like, I could have a contract job and make pretty good money while still doing all this other stuff. Okay. So I started to get more into music then because I felt like, okay, I actually want to play more music and do it kind of for real. I'm like 30 years old and this is it, right? Yeah. So little did I know that was not it. It could be another 10 years. But anyway, so I started doing that more, and then I got laid off from that job. And that company was called Epitonic. It was actually an MP3 website, kind of a little bit before its time. Oh, wow. So this is before streaming. This is before Bandcamp, before like a lot of these sites that are out there now. There was just mp3.com. And oh, wow. I forgot about that. Yeah. And then we had this philosophy that it's okay to give away your music as long as you agree to it as a promotion. Okay. And so that was the whole thing with the company. Like, we don't know where this is all going, but if you are into letting us promote you with free music, then here we are. So that was a cool little thing. It got eventually bought by CNET and then just kind of went away. Like a lot of things back then. It was just kind of... Yeah. So anyway, I got laid off from that job. And that's finally when things started to become serious because right around that time, I started producing music at home a lot more. And I joined a new band called Film School. Right. I was starting off. And we did an EP that ended up Scott Kannenberg from Pavement put it out on his little label, which is really, it was a small thing, but it was like the first time when I was like, oh, okay, I've got something to talk about. Like I've got, this everyone knows who Pavement is. And now one of them just put out my EP. So what do you know? Yeah. Saddest one, saddest song, whistling the melodies of marching bands. Here we come, promising you'd never run too far away. So that was a good thing. And then Film School just kind of was one of those bands, like San Francisco was going off at the time. There was a great scene and we just played and played and played and played like all the time. And for years, it took forever. It took, 4 years or something for us of just playing the same songs to finally get signed. We got signed at South by Southwest, kind of classic, South by Southwest story, kind of worked, I'd already been there a few times. And then, finally we had our big opportunity to play for Beggar's Banquet, which was at the time a pretty cool label. And they signed us, I think they signed us on the spot. Oh, wow. Yeah. And that led to another year of touring, but we finally got the full length out. London, so we were over there a lot, and I got to go to Europe a bunch. And nice. Obviously, I wasn't working at that point, so I was doing music full time and touring all over the place. I also put out a solo record in there that did pretty well called Chemical Friends.
Writing start happening? I mean, were you writing your own music this whole time, or did that really start to kick in with film school?
It actually kicked in right around the same time. Like during that period of being unemployed, I was like, I really had a fire under my butt to actually do something. I just felt like I had this limited amount of time, which actually kind of relates to what we did during the pandemic. It was kind of the same feeling, but I just felt like, okay, I've got 8 months here and I'm going to do as much as I can. So I actually did 3 albums. I did an electronic album called Astronomy for Children, which was cool because I was able to get that on a little label, and then I got to go over to Europe for that. It's just this funny little abstract electronic kind of ambient album I did, but
oh, cool.
Yeah, but it kind of managed to get out there a little bit. And then right after that, I did this solo album called Chemical Friends, and that also just seemed to do pretty well. I mean, we're not talking, I didn't sell 100,000 records or anything, but it just got out there a little bit, and I could feel that, I was getting radio play. I was getting asked to do things, and I don't know. I think film school kind of bubbled to the top real quick because we had a pretty large label come forth and had a lot of momentum.
Right.
And so I ended up focusing on that for a few years. The other stuff kind of fell away, but yeah, I mean that took basically up until 2006 or 2007 actually, and then I came back from a tour. We had a really kind of rough time, film school. We were touring for a long time, and then our van got stolen and all this stuff.
Oh,
and yeah, it was a mess. Yeah, it was just a big kind of train wreck, and I really needed to take a break. So I stepped away for a bit, and I didn't know how long it was going to be, but it ended up being a while. It was another 10 years, I think, before I went back with film school. So,
oh man.
Yeah, I took a big break there and did another solo record, which did okay. And then shortly after that, Skye was born in 2008.
It's just the same old scam and the same crooked plan. Just watch out for yourself in this town.
Takes us all the way up to Skye being born. Also, right around that time, I started doing commercial music too. So I
was going to ask you about that.
At this point, so I'd been touring, for all those years, and then I had another kind of panicky situation. What the hell am I going to do with my life? And then I suddenly, out of nowhere, I just got these opportunities to compose, and that really changed everything because now I'm actually doing music full time and I'm getting paid and I don't have to tour anymore.
Yeah, you don't just cram a bunch of guys into a bus or a van.
Mm-hmm.
So that's got to be nice.
That was nice, yeah. And it really changed everything for me, because I just stopped worrying about having, what am I going to do? How am I going to work and tour and play and blah, blah, blah. Suddenly I was like, okay, I can ride this baby as long as possible, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so before we get into Skye's arrival, how did you get into that? I mean, what was the first bit of the commercial music you did? What was your first, I guess, gig? I don't know what the right term is for that.
I had a few tiny little things that would pop up every once in a while just from knowing people, oh yeah, we want to use your little song you did for this little thing. And I'd be, okay, that's cool. But it really happened when that second solo album I did, it kind of somehow got into the hands of this is before, this is way before Spotify and streaming and stuff. So It wasn't a playlist, but it was must have been like a CD sampler or something. Somehow my music got onto their radar. And I had a couple songs on that solo album that were kind of, it's not like they were like happy, uplifting, commercially type music, but it was like acoustic folk. I don't know. At the time, it seemed to resonate with some people, I guess, that were doing commercials, and they must have known also that I could produce at home. And when you can produce at home, especially back then, and you're writing kind of stuff that's compelling in that world, then they come a calling.
Yeah.
they start calling, and so I was working for all out of nowhere within a month. I had 3 pretty solid agencies that I was working for.
Oh, wow.
It just totally changed everything for me.
See, all you got to do to make everything work is just panic a little bit. That seems to be what your secret formula.
Yeah, I think so. And I just, that was what my fourth release technically, I guess. So, or no, 5th, I guess, or 6th if you include the stuff from college. Jeez. So I had been, already through the ringer a little bit. But I think it was luck, and just also writing a certain kind of music, I guess, at that time,
Right time, right place, right sound.
Yeah. And I've been, the industry's changed a lot over the last, especially the last 5 years, but it's been, there was like a good, 10 years there where it was a really nice thing, because I had all these agencies calling me for demos all the time, and they pay you for demos, so wow. I would, have 3 or 4 of those a week. We were getting paid, and then I would have this huge library of tracks, because, you're not going to get every commercial you work for, obviously. So right. I had, hundreds of songs, and that's basically how I'm still making money now, because I'm just finding ways of getting that music into people's hands that are now it's more like libraries doing subscription services and that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
There's still some composing I'm doing for demos, but by and large, it's these companies now that have all this music on hand, and then they go out to editors and agencies and they say, okay, you can just pay us a monthly fee or whatever, and all this music is yours to use. It's already pre-cleared, so there's different pricing in there for stuff that they want to do, but they don't have to go back and forth. And because editing now is often done to the music anyway,
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a different thing, right? It used to be you'd get the commercial and then you'd put the music to the commercial. Now it's oh, let's get a cool track and let's just edit to the track, right?
Wow.
So it's really changed, and unfortunately, there's not nearly as much money in it, but it's still something, and I'm able to keep going.
I hear that with a lot of people in a lot of different lines of work. The money isn't in it like it used to be. I'm wondering where all the money ended up going, because I know nobody's got it anymore.
Just to the top, the guys, the fat cats.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Skye is born, and how did your musical journey start? I mean, did your dad encourage you to play, or was it something that you found on your own? How did you really get into music?
Well, he did encourage me. It kind of both happened, I guess. He encouraged me for I guess the first 5 years of my life, and I rejected it. And so he stopped trying. And then I found it on my own 2 years later, or a year and a half later.
Okay.
So kind of both, I guess.
So you're mostly percussion and drums and...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I played around with synths, I guess, before drums, but drums was the first thing I took lessons for.
Oh, okay.
He's definitely being extremely modest, because I could tell as a parent that he was musically inclined, just and interested, even though he might not have thought that maybe in your mind it didn't seem like it was, you can see the future or whatever. You didn't know, but I could tell, like, just from my interactions, that he was just absorbing it. Yeah. And like, there were so many indicators, like, along the way. I have a recording of us playing when he was 6, and he was playing synth, and he was just playing, and I was like playing along with him with guitar, and I'm like, I don't know, like, this is insanely easy to play music with you. You don't realize how easy it is. Like, wow. It's just happening. It's just an easy thing. And like, that's the earliest recording I have of him. And then a year later, he just decided one day that he was going to play all these songs on the piano. So out of nowhere, he was just learning all this stuff on the piano, and then he promptly stopped and gave it up. And I'm like, what? You're so good. Like, you're playing literally all these classical pieces out of nowhere. And, he was learning it on YouTube, and I know a lot of kids do that, but it was just really, it just flowed really easily with him. And, but then, I'll let him talk. That's when he discovered drums. It was like, just get out of the way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you playing on your own, or were you playing with friends and school bands? What's your path been to get to this point?
I took lessons. Like, I mostly played alone, but I had drum lessons, obviously, and I played some with him. Like, pretty much throughout the whole thing, I've always played with him a lot, but definitely a lot more in the last 4 years than I did when I was, like, first starting out.
All right, so you guys have started this interesting, unusual band, father and son band, Nyte Skye, which, like I said before, I don't hear too much of. The only time I've heard of it, the actual band wasn't started by father and son, but Peter Hook and his son Jack Bates now play Joy Division and New Order stuff together. But obviously Jack wasn't around for Joy Division,
Yeah, right.
So he didn't write any of the music, and so this is why I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this. How did the whole project get started? I mean, if I was reading everything, it started with the pandemic and a little bit of frustration with virtual learning and what was going on at the time.
Yeah, I mean, we did play music together. Just, ever since he started playing drums, I would just try to jam with him just to play, and just, I just figured the more we're playing together, the better he's going to be as a musician. So yeah. From the get-go, I was, trying to just play together every once a week. I don't know, every few days. I can't, it's kind of a blur now, but over the years, he got good so fast that, when he was 9, when he was 10, he already was filling in for, I had a solo, my solo band was still playing, and I had a gig and my drummer couldn't make it, and Skye was able to sit in when he turned on his 10th birthday. It just happened to be on his 10th birthday. So wow. He was already filling in for like the adults in the room. Right.
Oh my gosh.
And, we also played a gig at this local it's called Porch Fest. And he got this, cymbal endorsement out of nowhere. Like when he was, I think that was our first gig. Actually, we were doing like a cover. We were just playing covers.
Oh, wow.
And so, he just got really good pretty quick. So, we were jamming a lot, and that was a few years ago. Like when he was 10, he was already playing really well. So we have years of jams. We have a lot of ideas on the phone that we recorded over that time period. And 2 years later now, he's 12, and the pandemic hits.
He was 12. Yeah,
he was 12. Now he's not 12.
Yeah, come on, Dad, get that right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think we both knew, okay, let's spend this time that we have and let's go back to some of these jams and let's just try to get some songs going. That was the first step, I think, was just like, let's see if we can actually, record one of these ideas for real. And, the other thing going on too is, of course, being, we have a studio here at the house. Yeah. He's in the studio all the time. and he's got his own studio upstairs, but
Oh, nice.
he's so comfortable with recording that, like, I don't know. There was no like big leap there. It was like, he's ready. Like, I already knew, like, okay, this is prime time to record a record, because he's actually ready to record a record. Like, he's competent. He can come to the table, not only doing what I tell him to do, but like actually contribute on an artistic level to something that is beyond what I can do. Wow. And that was it. That was the moment when I was like, okay, we are doing this. We're going to spend this time. And instead of like sitting around wallowing about the world, we're going to like make the most of this, because we're probably never going to have time like this again.
Exactly. Like, so many people did so many different things, and then a whole lot of people just didn't do anything. So it seems to be one or the other. It's like, yeah, I got some stuff done. It's either I got everything done I wanted, or I didn't do a damn thing.
Yeah.
There's like no in between. So, Skye, just a quick aside. Are you playing drums in school at this point? I mean, before everything went virtual, are you playing in school bands, or are you just keeping it at home?
Well, I didn't play in school bands, but I played in like band programs, like outside of school.
Okay.
Like you just sign up for and play with people your age, or like people slightly older in my case.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was outside of school pretty much. It still is outside of school, actually. It's never really been an in-school thing for me.
Oh, okay.
It might be in the coming years, but so far it hasn't been an in-school thing. It's just been at home and with bands that I meet through like just outside of school activities that I do for music.
So you guys during this pandemic are playing and developing these songs that you've been messing around with in the past. At what point did you say, let's make this an album and put it out?
Yeah, it's like,
I think it was really far along that we actually decided to do something with it.
Yeah, I think we were just kind of like, let's just get some songs done and we can put them on SoundCloud or something.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, just see what happens. But I wish I could like remember the moment or whatever. You know, it was you know, I think it wasn't actually a moment. I think actually what happened was I also had a number of songs I was trying to finish up that were like my just other projects. Like I had a solo. I was re-releasing my second solo album, which I mentioned before, the one that came out back when he was born. I was pretty adamant I wanted to re-release that thing. And so the first thing I was actually, I believe, working on during that pandemic time was like, I just wanted to get that thing out there. Like I wanted to remaster. I was never happy with the way that record sounded for, you know, it's been out for like almost 15 years at this point. Or back, I guess it was 12, 15 years actually. Yeah. It was a 15-year anniversary.
Okay.
So I was never happy with the mixes. So it was just driving me crazy. I was like, I'm going to actually remix this thing because now I have the time, right?
Yeah.
So I I dove into that project, which was a total pain in the rear.
Yeah.
You know, digging up old computers and like trying to like just, you know, the software is out of date. I can't find the samples, you know, like
oh, wow.
half the projects are screwed up. So I gave up and, you know, over and over again. But then I finally decided, okay, I've got most of it here. I can do this. There's only a couple songs that need, you know, a little bit of rework. I have to actually redo the guitars on this thing. I got to re-sing that little part. I got to, you know, do this. And some of it was drums. And so somewhere in there, I was like, well, I happen to live with a drummer.
Yeah. Pretty good one.
Yeah. So Skye was a part of that. And I don't remember I don't remember if that came before we started writing getting more serious about our music, but I think it kind of happened at the same time. Because once those drum mics are set up and we're getting a good sound and I'm like, this is working. And also Skye was, you know, it kind of all happened at once because he was also recording, he recorded like a Christmas song with Zach. So Zach, my friend from Rogue Wave, he did this like Christmas compilation for some label or whatever.
Oh, cool.
And it's like, yeah, Skye can play on it. I'm like, okay. So he came over and, you know, we recorded that and that was really early on. I think that was technically your first release, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was before the pandemic, actually.
Wow.
So we were already, clearly I haven't gotten my story straight on this whole thing. But basically the bottom line is he was ready to record And I think once the dust had kind of settled on what I was trying to do with my solo album, we just started to be like, okay, let's get these songs, these jams that we have, and let's look at these, and maybe we can, do something with these for real. And I'm trying to remember what the first song that we did was. Was it Doing Time?
Doing Time was probably the oldest one that we wrote, but it wasn't the one that we recorded. Doing Time was like, I don't know. It was a really, really old idea.
It was.
From like...
That's a great song.
2017 or something.
Very old idea. But we went back and see, this is the thing. Okay. This is sort of, so we had these ideas and they were cool, but they weren't done yet. And what happened was we went back and we revisited them, and he had gotten so much better. As soon as we started playing again, I'm like, well, okay, like that beat is sick. Let's get this recorded because this sounds good. That's what happened with Doing Time. I mean, that beat made the song, in my opinion. And the song Drag was another really old idea that when he played this beat that has this kind of rolling kind of snare thing to it, okay, like that, there it is.
No sound goes beneath the orange clouds. No help from the cloud. Dark clothes.
I mean, that's the kind of thing. It was really, I don't know. It became a band, like it's weird to think of recording, I think with any family member, because how do you know that there's an artistic connection going on? I mean, it might just be, and that's fine. There doesn't have to be, if, whatever, like you're just, you're hanging out with your kid. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I think there was a moment in there when I'm like, okay, I actually think we can do something here that is its own little, it's a band. It's like, it has a sound. It has a vibe to it that I'm able to hear. And
it really does. It's great. I love the sound of this album.
Thanks.
It's got the whole dream pop, shoegaze, indie. It's, oh man. I was just thinking about it. If this album came out in like the mid 80s, it'd be huge.
I know.
I love it. I love that sound. Was it hard to kind of straddle that line between producer and dad?
Yes and no. I think you have two hats, right? You put your dad hat on and you're like, well, instead of going and throwing the football around or something, we're going to play music, right? It's something that we both enjoy doing, and it's we can do it all the time. We spend long hours in the studio and it's great, So on a dad level, it's, a great way to spend time together. On a producer level, I'll say like that was another like just learning process of realizing that Skye was ready to record, has a great demeanor in the studio, doesn't get nervous at all, as far as I could tell. If anything, I don't know, dials in, wants to make the song as good as possible, has great ideas. It was, of course, like, was it, I don't know. There were still moments when we might butt heads about something or just be in bad moods for whatever reason. But I mean, it's, as far as a creative team, it was great. And then that's why it happened. I mean, because at any point, something like this, you just, I don't know, to actually see it through takes, I think, another level of commitment and getting through the moments when you just are not thinking that it's worth the time or whatever. But yeah, the whole time I was like, this just gets better and better. I mean, we're getting better at the process, which changed over time too, by the way. I mean, we kind of found our groove as the record went on, and I really came to I don't know, it was a fun adventure seeing how that would unfold.
I think,
because I think at the beginning, I mean, feel free to jump in, but I feel like at the beginning it would be like, okay, we have these ideas, and I would be like, we jam it, and then I'd be like, okay, just let's play that. Okay, so let's record, let's do what we just did. And we just kind of capture what we had been doing. And then as the time went on and we would work on the later ideas, it was more like, okay, this is the general idea of what I'm thinking, or what this idea is. I just want to like record you playing drums for like 10 minutes. And then we're going to see where this goes. And so we would let it roll and get just good sounds. And he would just play for a while. And I'd be playing bass, usually, or not, just kind of, I don't know, maybe I can't remember, maybe some guitar sometimes or whatever, but mostly just kind of like, letting him just get really comfortable and kind of going off. And then I would go back and we would go back, and then we would rearrange the idea kind of based on kind of where he took it. And the songs I just love it because it feels live. It feels like it's an organic kind of thing that is evolving. As like the song Two Wolves in the Heart.
Oh yeah.
That's I think the last song on the album. It's just this kind of, odyssey, and it's not that long. I don't know, maybe it's 5 minutes long. It's not like this crazy long track, but right. It just evolves, and you can kind of hear that happen the last, 2 minutes of the song, where he basically did that whole thing. And then we went back and kind of wrote a lot of the music to what he did, and I changed it kind of around what the drums were doing. Different approach. And the other track, Take Your Love, which is a little bit more of it's a little bit more of like a catchy, poppier song, I would say. But there's elements of that song too where it really loosens up, and kind of that's where I think his kind of Stuart Copeland style drumming kind of comes through. It's very like, it's kind of loose, and he kind of like blurs this dub thing into a pop thing, and then it goes back to this really syncopated thing. I mean, I was pushing him at that time to loosen up a bit, but I think that song in particular, that might have been the one where we kind of first did that, where we were like, okay, let's just record for a while and see where this goes. And it came out so great.
All right, so Skye, when your dad tells you to do something like that, do you have an idea in your head of what you want to do, or are you just letting it go and just seeing where it goes?
I mean, sometimes I get ideas. It's like sometimes I get inspired by the song, or sometimes I'm inspiring the song. It's just different from song to song, I guess.
Are you writing music at this time? I mean, do you have...
Yeah. Some, like, I've always written some form of music, I guess. Or like, I guess I go through phases where I write like electronic music, or I'll just write music on like guitars or something. But yeah, I write some music for this and some music just separately.
This is just an amazing project. Is there, and it kind of, to me, it sounds like you almost know your direction. And is this something that you see yourself doing in the future? I mean, is music what you're called to do? Because it sounds like it.
I mean, I hope I do it in the future. I'm planning on it.
Was there something that you learned through working with your dad that maybe you weren't expecting? Because it sounds like it wasn't just a really organic process. But I know your dad mentioned that you've recorded in the past already. So is there something new that you learned through doing this album?
Well, when we recorded before, I guess it was just as like usually he'd have a thing that he was already working on that I could just contribute to. But with Nyte Skye, it was like actual ideas that I had written. And so my recording before was basically just, I guess, adding to what was already there. And then with Nyte Skye, I got to actually build a song that I had written with him, with a jam and something. So it was just different in that way.
There's actually one song, like Dream State, he brought that one on. Most of the music he wrote.
Wow.
And the beat. So that I didn't really do my, I obviously I sang on it and I did that element and I added the guitars and stuff. But I mean, that was an example of his just showing up one day with a pretty darn, I mean, as soon as I heard that idea, I was like, okay, well, that's something.
I need this blood out of me. All these wanting in jealousy. I wanna leave my body behind. Dream state, you can't take me out. I'm in a dream state, please don't take me out.
I want to tell you both right now. I think that and I don't, you got to tell me about this song a little bit because it showed up as 11 tracks. So Dream State or Shadow Priest.
Oh, you have Shadow Priest.
I do. Two of my
God. You're the lucky. You might be the only member of the press that has. I think that one's going to be our. I don't know when that's coming out. It's not on the album right now, but it's going to be released as a follow-up little thing.
Those are two of my favorites.
That's cool. Really, I think you're the first person that's heard.
Oh wow,
that song. Yeah,
that is awesome.
I can set you free. You see what you want to see. Messages received. The stroke of the key. I can set you free from any origin. The messages received. The stroke of the key.
That's great that you like it. That's a good sign.
I love it. That and Faded is also another one of my favorites. That's a great track.
Thank you.
So this album is so solid, and not to, I don't even know what the word is. I don't want to sound, I'll just say dumb. But the drumming does not sound like a teenager. So if I were just to give this to somebody and say, hey, check this band out, they would be, this is a great band. It wouldn't be, oh, this is good for a teenager. I mean, it's just amazingly solid throughout the whole thing. I'm amazed by the talent.
Thanks.
Do you guys have favorites on the album? Is there one track that really stands out for each of you?
I mean, it's hard to say. I know from me personally, as soon as we start playing the stuff live, then it skews everything, right? Because playing live, really, you fall in love with the songs that just are easy to play live or have a good effect, right? And then
makes sense.
The ones that are harder and challenging and fall flat, you end up hating, right? So I don't know. It changes too, right? I mean, we've only played a handful of shows, so I mean, we're still getting our legs going or whatever. But I do feel I don't know. What do you think? What's your favorite song to play at this point?
I don't know about to play, but yeah, I don't really know. Doing Time is probably my favorite one, just on the album.
On the album, yeah.
But to play, I don't even know what my favorite one is to play.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got a question about a title then, because this ranks right up on the top 3 songs. But Moon Rabbit.
Oh yeah.
All right. So what's Moon Rabbit? Because that's a really cool track.
You want to talk about that one? Okay, well, that one, I'll take the lead here. Even though it's, again, like a huge, Skye's influence on this was obviously huge. But like, so we have he's big into modular synth as well as drums, right? So we have a modular synth set up in his studio, and which is in the attic. Mine's in the basement, his is in the attic. So I don't know. We wanted to do something on the album, I think, that was almost like a palate cleanser or something. I don't know, like a end of side A kind of. I don't know, just some track that kind of comes out of left field that, I mean, still fits into the realm of what we're doing, but I don't know, something with modular synth and something, you know, a little darker. That song took about 15 minutes. No, it didn't take that. Yeah. But it was like, you know, you fire up the modular and start turning knobs. He knows this is his world. I'm totally uncomfortable.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I don't know what
it was just like one idea on the modular synth that we recorded. And then, I don't know, we just ran with that, like the initial idea, which wasn't like a big thing when we recorded it, but we just thought it was really cool after. And then we expanded on it, I guess, and that's how it came to be, really. Yeah, I just added some guitar, and then I think Skye programmed that beat, but the beat is just... It's literally just a kick and a snare, like, you know, there's nothing going on. It's all about the percolating synth and stuff, and the you know, the vibe. I think that's the thing. It's just, we wanted to create a vibe with that track, and that's just the only reason, is like, let's create this vibe, let's hang there for 2.5 minutes, and then you know, and be done.
So what is a Moon Rabbit?
Moon Rabbit. The Moon Rabbit is.
This guy's just shaking his head. Like, no.
We have no idea.
People claim to see the Moon Rabbit. You know, when you look at the moon.
Do they?
You can kind of look at the full moon. They see a rabbit.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So, you know, I don't know.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you guys have played this out a little bit. Are there plans to play live very much? I know, I'm sure, you know, Skye's with school and all, it's got to be tough. So what are the plans with the band for the future?
I mean, it is. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because this band is like set by bookends or limitations all over the place. Right. We tried to get the album done within lockdown pandemic time, you know, or not. Basically, when he was home from school for so long,
right?
We did most of the album during that time. Now it's, of course, with playing live, it's like, I'm not going to take him out of school. So it's like, we really have to kind of, ideally, now that he's older too, he's got a lot of homework and stuff. So It's like, it's got to be during the summer, or it's got to be during a break, you know? And so we have some shows coming up in February during his winter break, but I don't want to take his whole winter break, right? So it's like, just doing a couple shows, you know, it's not a big deal.
I can't hang tonight, guys. I got to go play with that.
What a drag. So, you know, so we got a couple of shows in February, and then we're doing, it looks like we're doing another little string of shows in July.
Oh, nice.
Just all on the West Coast. And, you know, I think we'll see kind of what comes about, you know, like, I think, who knows, you know, I think we'd be open to writing this wherever it might take us. and I know that we've already started to talk about doing another album, doing just kind of keep going.
Awesome.
Kind of getting some energy for that. I think hopefully this summer.
That was going to be my next question: is do you see this continuing? So just answered that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really following his lead though in lots of ways, because it is like, he's 14. He's got a lot going on. He's got a lot of things to do. He's got a lot of life to live and stuff. And I, of course, am 100% committed to being his dad first over the musician, the bandmate.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's been quite even if we were to stop right now, honestly, it's been everything I've ever dreamed for and more, right? I mean, it's great. It's fantastic. And I can't wait to actually have the vinyl in my hand, because that's been the only bummer I would say is that, we delayed putting out the album for a really long time, thinking that, we'd have the vinyl in January. So we pushed this album release for like 6 months based on that.
Oh, wow.
And then of course they delayed it now until March. So even after all that waiting, we're still like, oh, we don't have the record. So, and I know it's not the end of the world, whatever, but just having that vinyl in our hands, like playing the shows and selling something, I think this is his first time he's been in a band like this. And like that feeling of people buying your record is really, a special thing.
Scott, you planning on manning the merch table? No?
No, I'm not. Better this guy.
Better get that autograph signing down pat, man. Well, as a dad, I think this is amazing. I've got 3 of my own, and I think this is just beautiful. I love this whole project, and above and beyond that, the music is good. Beyond just being an awesome project, the music is actually really, really flipping good. So this project it's just, I don't know, it kind of hits me right in the chest there, because I can kind of understand now what you're going through and the pride that you must feel. So congratulations to the 2 of you. I think this is just amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So where can people follow you and pick up the album?
Instagram obviously is probably the most active place to be. So we're just Nyte Skye Band. And then we're on Spotify and the other platforms. But I think, as far as getting the album, getting the record, there'll be a link to this online distributor called Fat Beats. That's probably the easiest way to get the vinyl, unless you go straight to the label Sonic Ritual. They can, but they'll probably just send you to Fat Beats anyway, because it's an online store. Okay. So yeah, they're the ones. It's kind of like a one-stop shop. But it will be in some stores, but I'm telling people, don't expect it to show up at your record store, just because we're so unknown. And
where do you find a record store nowadays?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
I hate to say that, but God.
I know.
So if somebody is interested in buying the digital for the time being until the vinyl is ready, is it on Bandcamp, or it was Sonic Ritual?
Yeah, definitely Bandcamp, Nyte Skye. If you just look up Nyte Skye, we should come up. So we're on Bandcamp, and then we're on streaming in general. But yeah, Bandcamp's great, because it also is a great way to connect with the band. You can contribute as much as you want. You can leave a comment. You can, and we'll have other merch too. I'm trying to get this figured out. We have some shirts that we've been playing around with different shirts and like colors and stuff, and, awesome. And fabrics and stuff. So we should have a shirt soon for sale, and I guess we'll have that another little EP. Well, I don't know if it's going to be an EP, but we'll definitely have another little release probably over the summer, I imagine, just to get a little more music, just to keep people aware of our, just hit people again, just and get the message the first time around.
Well, we should probably have you guys back on at that point again.
That'd be great. Yeah, especially since you're the earliest of the Shadow Priest listeners. That's really cool. That's great that you like it. I mean, because no one has heard that song.
Wow, oh man. Now I'm feeling it again. That's awesome.
And it's an interesting song too, because it's so straightforward rock too. I mean, we can talk about this next time, but it's like it's the more kind of rock song. That's why it didn't make the record, honestly, because I was like, I don't know if it fits, blah blah blah. But
so and Skye's getting an awesome education in everything that it takes to promote a band. Getting design, logo designs.
I think he's over it already.
What?
I think you'd rather play music and I don't know. Maybe he'll come around, but it's a lot of work to promote a record and do the posts every day on Instagram and blah blah. It's just it's a lot of busy work, and I'm so thankful, by the way, that Sonic Ritual came forward and put this thing out, because it's just so I don't know, just having someone just there just to obviously to help promote it is great, and just also do all this busy work. But a lot of the work of putting an album out, it's like, upload this, and no, it's not the right dimensions, and no, it's too big, it's too small, blah blah. I mean, the resolution's not right. I mean, it takes weeks. Honestly, it takes weeks to dot all your I's and cross your T's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This stuff, and it's been so nice to have them on board. I sent it to them, and I was like, I did this album with my kid. I'm super freaking pumped.
Yeah.
And I was like adamant to just show it to as many people as I could, because I was so proud of it. And they went for it, so I'm so thankful.
I love that. Like, Todrick is just awesome. Those guys are just fantastic. They have so many awesome artists. They've been great to this podcast, and I love them to death. So I'm always thrilled when I see something come out on their label. In fact, I just released an episode that with a guy you're going to be playing with in a few weeks, Stephen David McKellar.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, that show came together really nicely. I was trying to figure out, going down to LA with Nyte Skye, and just, kind of dreading the LA thing, and trying to get on a bill and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I just talked to Todd. Well, let's just do a Sonic Ritual night. We'll just get all of your bands. Cause in a way, I kind of feel like a lot of the bands on that label seem to be almost in the same boat. We don't play that much, maybe here and there, but like, I don't know. No one's like chomping at like playing a bunch of shows and stuff. So for all of us I could be wrong there, but like, it just seems like, I don't know, like this is just a great way for us to all kind of do this together, and I don't know, just make a night of it and do it for each other, right? We got 4 bands all from Sonic Ritual, and it's going to be just awesome.
That's one of the only reasons I would want to go to LA at this point. I would love to see you guys live. If you ever make it to the East Coast, try to get to DC, because I will be there. Cool. Thank you guys so much for spending so much time with me. I've kept you for quite a while, and I love this album. It's a special album. So thank you guys so much for creating it and letting everybody hear it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Outside.